Hello, and thank you for joining me. We're at the start of another weekly vlog. It's Kirsten, by the way. And yeah, I've actually finished 2 books already at the start of this vlog, which is great. We're also starting it quite late again, but that is because I was at the Greenwich branch both yesterday and today, and it does make travelling time a wee bit longer, but I have enough time to do a quick update this morning. So the books that I finished, we have the audiobook that I've been listening to for the last couple of weeks, which is Cemetery Boys by Adrian Thomas, and this was a really nice feel-good book. We are following our Latino main character, and he is trying to prove that he is a brujo, yet his family in that don't really understand it or connect with it. The only person that understood was his mother, who has unfortunately passed away the year before, and because he is a transgender boy, it goes against all of their traditions that they have. And we are coming up to this big event where we have ghosts of the dead that are able to communicate with this community, and yet there's also this big mystery that's going alongside it. It was a really nice book. I loved the representation in it because there's a lot of representation, and I thought it was really interesting to explore how difficult it can be to having your family accept you if you're transgender, or even if just whatever your preference is. We also have a character called Maurizia, and she is a vegan. She doesn't want to use animal blood in their rituals, the way they heal people and stuff, and again, that's not really accepted as part of the community and stuff, and so they're just trying to prove to everybody else that they are fine the way they are, and they don't need to be anyone who they're not. And it was really nice. I can say it came out as 3 stars. It was just very similar to Lost in the Neverwoods in terms of like the pacing, the atmosphere and everything like that. It felt very young, but I wouldn't say it was bad either. So it was good. I did enjoy it, and I can definitely see why so many people have loved this book. And then I also finished Lady Chatterley's Lover, and this also came out as 3 stars. Again, I like all the themes that it explores. I mentioned it before, but we are exploring disability. We're exploring depression, and there's talks about sex and how men and women view it at this time, and it is really interesting to look into all of those themes. But apart from that, I don't know, it just wasn't too much else to it, if that makes sense. We're following the storyline where Lady Chatterley has a lover, as the title suggests, and he is their gameskeeper. And so then a lot of people are like turning their nose up at her, like, you know, why would you dally with someone that's beneath you and things like this. And it's just, I don't know, it's a good book in terms of what it explores. As I said, I think it is good for that, and I do like all the talks and concepts and everything, but it was a bit slow in places. Yeah, I mean, it's one that I would reread, but not anytime soon. Like, I didn't love it as much as, say, Wuthering Heights, which I finished last week. That was really, really good, and I just feel like this is a good look at society. It's just purely character driven story. There's not too much plot in here, and it also talks about the turning point between old England, as they refer to it, and industrialised England, and how it affects people and people's points of views on it. So I do feel like it's a good look at society. It's just not one that I found necessarily gripping, which is why it's 3 stars. So those are the books that I finished yesterday evening, which was really good. I'm really pleased I got those done, and we are of course on the last day of June, but I still have 260 pages to go of this book, and yeah, I'm not going to get it finished anytime soon. Let's be real. Unfortunately, it's just not going to happen, but I am enjoying it. We are following the story of Anna Karenina, and I have been reading this for the whole month. Actually, I started it on the 1st of June and I have not finished it on the 30th, but I am determined to get this finished this week. And again, I'm kind of hovering between 3 and 4 stars because I love it. I find it really interesting. I like all of our characters. The fact that there are so many characters doesn't bother me too much, as I've mentioned before. I do think that having read Anna K, which is a contemporary retelling of this, it definitely helps you understand all the characters, but there are moments in this which are so dry, and I feel like they really could have been taken out, and it would have made the book a lot more accessible and just, yeah, just better, in my opinion. Not that it was bad, those points, it's just they were really slow going, and it's mainly the character points of Levin and his farming. That went on for a while. and Anna Karena's husband and his talks of politics and the way he sees things. Both of those two, they're just characters I couldn't get on with. But the other characters and stuff, they're really interesting, they're really dynamic. I like everything that they talk about. I find it really interesting to see the concepts of when a man cheats on his wife to when a wife cheats on her husband, and the differences and the impact it has on them, which I find so interesting. In a way, it's kind of like similar to Lady Chatterley's Lover, but I'd say I've preferred Anna Karenina to Lady Chatterley's Lover. I feel like this just explores a lot more, and the characters seem a lot more well developed in this than in Lady Chatterley's. This has a lot of smut in it though, by the way, which was surprising because it's a classic book, but I would say by today's standards, it's not that bad. But you can definitely see why it would have been seen as very explicit back then, because I haven't seen any classics that has as explicit sex scenes as it does in this one. This one, not so much sex scenes, like at all. It is implied, it's mentioned, but it's not done like that. It's a lot more elegant, I suppose. But yeah, so I am enjoying this. I've only got a few pages left. The pacing is picking up in this. It is really interesting. I do want to carry on with it. Our characters have had so much development over this time. This is the goal, to get this finished this week and obviously start my July TBR, because we have 12 books to get through in July. So let's see how this all goes. But for now, I really have talked too long. I need to run and get a train, so I will catch up with you all soon. I've finally finished Anna Karenina, and I can say this was disappointing. I think, again, as I've been saying throughout it all, if I reread it and was prepared for all the farming bits, then I might prefer it. But I can say that overall I am let down by this book. I predicted it was going to be 5 stars, and then I started reading it, and the bits with Levin and the farming was just a bit too much for me, and so I was like, okay, so it's going to be more like 4 stars. But I can say this ending also disappointed me, because the final part of this book, part 8, did not focus on the things that I thought it would focus on. So at the end of part 7, something, you know, very tragic happens and it's really upsetting, but then in the final parts of part 8 you're not really following the characters that you think you'd follow to see the fallout of everything. Instead, we're just following Levin again with his really eccentric ideas, and I'm like, but why? Why are we following him again? Why are we seeing all of this? How does this relate? And maybe it's just because I was tired and I didn't take it in as well, but I just really don't like Levin as a character, and because there was so much of him throughout this book, I just couldn't connect. I really enjoyed all the other parts. Every other character perspective I enjoyed, but Levin was someone that I just could not get on with. It's a shame because it's brought down the book. As said, if I reread this, I am probably going to enjoy it a lot more. I'll probably take in an awful lot more as well. As a first read, I can say 3 stars, but the parts that I enjoyed, I really did enjoy, and I do think upon reread this would get closer to a 4 star, because I do think there is so much that you can take from this book. It was just the parts with Levin are difficult, and I think I would just tackle that in a different way next time and try and understand the points that he's trying to get across, because I do believe Leo Tolstoy uses Levin as a way for him to get across his opinions. So I do think it is warranted to have another reread of this, to give it another try and try and do a bit more in-depth analysis of it, and then I'd probably prefer it. But upon first read, I can say I just didn't like Levin, and it's a shame because the storyline with Anna and Vronsky and everything that she's trying to deal with was so interesting, and even the parts with Kitty and Levin towards the end were better. I can just say that the final chapters, I wish just other things had been focused on, and I think that would have brought up my enjoyment of this. But yeah, those farming parts I could do without. But there's so many themes in this book. You even have Kitty, who ends up, in all honesty, it could be argued, with romantic feelings for other women, and I really enjoyed that, and I feel like I didn't spend enough time focusing in on that or exploring that theme, and there are just so many other little themes throughout this book. It is really interesting. It also looks at how women are treated in society differently towards men, and how they just kind of have to accept things, whereas men can just do whatever they want and it be absolutely fine. So it is an interesting look at all of that. It's just, I think I focused so much on disliking Levin that it took away from the rest of the book. So in all honesty, it probably warrants 4 stars, but I just don't like Levin. So, but yeah, like I said, I do want to reread this because I do think I will enjoy it and get a lot more out of it the second time round. But I am pleased I finished it. And then yesterday was my day off, so I did a bit of filming, and I also went to central London. As usual, I decided to sit down in Waterstones up there in their little cafe and edit a video. Also met my partner up in London. It was really nice because we just went for a nice little wander around, and I found this little second-hand bookshop which is called Second Hand, and it is a bookshop that is prioritising female writers, and it's mainly second-hand books. They have a few new books but mainly just second-hand. It was really lovely. It's laid out like a Victorian lounge. I loved it. It was so quaint and cute. So while I was there, I decided to pick up Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. This is a book that I've heard so many people talk about and really enjoy, and I decided to pick it up because I'm actually finding I quite like Virginia Woolf's writing, because for the last 2 days while I've been travelling to places, because I've been at the Greenwich store and that's like an hour and a bit travel to get there, and then also travelling to London yesterday. While I have been travelling on trains, I have been reading Orlando by Virginia Woolf, and I've really enjoyed this. I really enjoy the writing style, which is why I decided to pick up her other book, Mrs. Dalloway. She's done quite a few, but Mrs. Dalloway is one that I've heard talked about the most, so I'm really interested to give this one a try. But Orlando is an interesting one. So when I was first reading the first, like, where am I up to? The first 100 pages of this, I was really getting like Dorian Gray vibes from Orlando as a character, because he is someone that everyone just automatically magnetizes towards. He's very charming and he isn't afraid to show women love and things like that, which reminds me of Dorian Gray, obviously without the selling the soul part, but it does remind me of that, where he's just indulging his every whim until he falls in love with a Russian princess and she breaks his heart, and so he becomes this reclusive individual. And it was really interesting to read that, and I really enjoyed, again, all the different things that it was exploring and stuff. That was really interesting. And then all of a sudden he decides to change his mind, stop being this reclusive individual and start throwing loads of parties again, and then very quickly runs off to Turkey to get away from this woman that's basically stalking him in a weird way. And it changes from there. And then I realise some of this may be spoilers, but it's also on the back. He turns into a woman. He literally just wakes up one morning and he is a woman, and I really like that. Now, I don't know if this is meant to be a transgender book, but it definitely reads that way, because it's like he identifies himself as a female now. So he used to identify himself as a male and now he identifies as a female, and it's just accepted, it's a natural thing, and he just wakes up thinking, yeah, I'm now a girl. It does make reference to his body's changed to a girl, but not explicitly, so I don't actually know if that's happened or not. I've only read the first like 10 pages of him being a female now, but I really liked it. It was really interesting, very unusual the way it all happened, and it's just so interesting. Like, I really genuinely can't like get over it. Like, I really liked it, the way it was done. And now that Orlando is identifying as a female, where her story is going to go and what she's going to decide with her life. And yeah, I'm really intrigued. I really like the writing style. I think it's really interesting, especially because it's written as if it's like a biography of Orlando, and you're kind of have parts where it's in brackets where you're being spoken to as a reader, which I quite like, breaking the boundaries and stuff. It's always good fun when that happens. So yeah, I'm actually really enjoying this, to the point where although I've only been reading it on trains and stuff, I have already got halfway through. So yeah, really pleased with this. But what I have not started is my Jane Austen July. That started yesterday, and we're supposed to be reading Mansfield Park, a few chapters each day, but I haven't actually started it. So that's what I'm going to be doing this evening, catching up on those chapters, and then probably reading some more of Orlando, because I really am enjoying this. It's a really interesting book, and I like all the themes it explores, as well as identity and how you identify yourself. It's very good. Very good. So yeah, we're having a good week. Honestly, we've finished 3 books and started Orlando, which I'm really enjoying. So yeah, okay, ramble territory, and I don't have time for it. I really do actually have to go to work. So I'm gonna go, and I will catch up with you soon. weekend went well. Mine was rather busy. Saturday at work was absolutely manic and we ended up getting out rather late, but I did end up going shoe shopping, which yes, I'm happy with. I'm going to put a picture up here because the lighting's not showing them off very well because they're rather pale shoes, but they're so cool. And then I got another pair that changes colour with UV, which I was just like, yes, absolutely love. So that was a bit of a shopping spree after work, but I was rather happy with it. And then yesterday, me and my partner, we took a boat ride from Greenwich all the way to Embankment, and it was really nice actually. I really enjoyed that boat ride. It was just really nice to take it in a different mode of transport, and we had the time to kill, so we thought why not. So yeah, that was really good. And then we had ramen, which yes, it is lovely. So yeah, that was amazing and we had such a good time. But reading wise, I have finished Orlando and this came out as 5 stars. I really did enjoy this book. Now this is very different from her other works, from what I've been reading up about it, and it was more of a tribute to her friend, and it focused heavily on the love of reading and writing, how it was seen in society, and it was just beautiful. But I also took a different meaning from this book, and that is one to do with identity. Thought it was such a great exploration of that. So we do have, as I mentioned, Orlando, who does change his identity into a woman, and we see her going forward from there. But this book spans 4 centuries, which was amazing. It's just so nonsensical but beautiful at the same time, and I loved how it spoke about clothes and how they have an impact on how people view you and how you view yourself. And that was something that was really talked about in this, especially because Orlando changing from being a man to a woman, and then there's a point in the book where they kind of just decide who they want to be as and when at the time, what they want to be doing as to how they dress and how they identify themselves. And I thought it was brilliant. Honestly, it's one of those things that if I was doing a degree in English literature, that is what my thesis would be about, because I think the way clothing and that is represented in books and how it affects how the characters see one another, how the characters feel about themselves, which is true even now, I think is so important and amazing, and I love seeing it in writing. And yeah, this was just brilliant. I feel like this book should be explored more. It's not something that I've seen explored at like an A-level level. It should be, because I think it's beautiful writing, brilliant techniques, and it explores so many themes that I think you could do so many essays on this book. So this is one that I really fell in love with and would happily reread, and yeah, fantastic. 5 stars. Loved it. I did actually start Mansfield Park by Jane Austen. I am up to date what I'm actually doing, because you tend to read about 5 chapters across 2 days. I'm finding that I prefer reading that chunk just in one evening, so I'm reading this every other day and just catching up with the chapters that I missed on the previous day, and I'm preferring that. And I actually feel like Jane Austen, for me, the first 100 or so pages is always a bit slow and tough to get through, and I feel like separating it into these manageable chunks has made it a lot easier. Not because the writing's bad, it's just because the way she builds up the characters, you get a lot of background information before you get the rest of the plot moving forward. Although I can say so far I'm actually really enjoying this, and I like Fanny as a main character and how she's very quiet and unassuming, and how she just kind of has to deal with the fact that she's with these rich relatives who kind of look down upon her, and how she deals with that, and her cousin Edmund, and the arrival of Mr. and Miss Crayford, and how that upsets the normality of her world and how she's dealing with it. And I am really enjoying it. I can say that the writing is so intriguing, and I don't know how Jane Austen manages it, but somehow A Walk in the Woods is like the most interesting plot line. Like, it was so good. I really wanted to see how all these characters came together, how it all ended. It was really enjoyable. So yeah, I am on chapter 11 and I'm looking forward to carrying on with this one. It is very good. It will be one that I'm reading slowly because I do want to read it as with the book club, so I'm not reading ahead, but I am reading it every other night. So yeah, this is very good and I'm enjoying it so much. And then my audiobook currently, I started and I've almost finished The Vanishing Stair by Maureen Johnson. This is the second book in the Truly Devious trilogy, and yeah, I have almost finished listening to it. It's a really engrossing audiobook, and I do think I'm going to carry on with audiobook for these if I can, because I don't know, just something about having a murder mystery audiobook is just so good, and I'm so intrigued where the plot line is going. Honestly, it's very good. I'm very enjoying it. I think if I was physically reading it, I wouldn't have the same enjoyment level in a way. I don't know why, but I'm really enjoying listening to this, but I think physically I would get a little bit bored. maybe I've just got the wrong view on that, I don't know, but either way this is very good. So we are following Stevie, and she is back at the school and things are going wrong yet again. There is another mystery that Stevie gets entangled up in, and it's going from there. I am very much enjoying this. I really don't have long left, but I am thinking of saving it to Thursday, because Thursday I plan on just having like a journaling day and things like that, so it'd be nice to have an audiobook to listen to while I do that. So I'm thinking I'll wait, but at the same time I don't want to, because I want to find out what's going on. And again, I can't talk too much about it because it is a murder mystery, but it is really good. I would really recommend it if you're looking for a YA murder mystery. This is a very enjoyable series and I'm enjoying all the developments and everything that goes on. I think Stevie's a really good main character. Honestly, I think all the characters in here are very well done. So yeah, really enjoying this. Honestly, enjoying it more than what I thought, because I think the first book I was a little bit let down by the second half of the book, but actually this one I'm really enjoying and I feel like it's picked back up. Very nice, and I actually quite like having a YA murder mystery to break up the classics that I have been reading. But that is the end of this weekly vlog. I hope you have enjoyed it. I feel like we've accomplished a lot because we've finished like 4 books, which I think is amazing. And yeah, I hope your week went well. Do let me know what you've been reading, what you've been up to and everything. But for now I need to get to work, so I'm going to say goodbye. So if you have enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it that thumbs up and subscribe. My social media links will be linked below, and I will of course catch you in the next one.